Here's what's coming today on the Woodworking Network podcast.
When you have delays on your financial reports, even if it's only a couple of weeks past the end of the month, that means you're still looking in the rear view mirror. Welcome to this episode of the Woodworking Network podcast. Join us as we explore the business of woodworking, big and small, and what it takes to succeed. I'm Will Sampson. Today's episode is sponsored by FDMC Magazine. Today my guest is Dusty Alexander, CEO of Global Shop Solutions, a company that specializes in enterprise resource planning software, better known as ERP software. But first, I want to talk about keeping track of your business. When I give workshops on pricing custom woodwork, I often make a joke about small shops that operate on what I call a checkbook P&L. In other words, they look at their checkbook balance at the end of the month, and if it's not overdrawn, they figure they made a profit. But it's really no joke. You need to measure your progress to ensure profitability. At least the guy with the checkbook is looking, even if he doesn't have a complete profit and loss statement to go by. In today's increasingly complex world of manufacturing, I'm not sure it's really possible to effectively manage a business without computers and software. Even something as basic as an Excel or Google spreadsheet can be transformative if it points to a better way of doing something or highlights a place that was leaking away profits. But even spreadsheets have limitations, especially if multiple spreadsheets are looking at interrelated processes and departments. The modern solution is Enterprise Resource Planning Software, or ERP for short. Still, that's a level of sophistication that seems daunting for many smaller operations. They wonder if the benefits will outweigh the costs, and not just money, but also in the time invested to learn the software system, develop the data, and train the workforce to use it. From what I've seen, there are benefits even for smaller operations. It gives them a dashboard to better see what's going on in their business in real time. For companies that have embraced the open books philosophy with their employees, it's a huge aid in getting the whole team on board with moving the company forward. That really helps management grow the company. So you might say they grow into the software too. To me, the larger issue points back to that old saying, you manage what you measure. It's awfully hard to know what really needs changing without measurable data. And it's even harder to know if your changes are working the way you want them to without data to back it up. That's what more sophisticated reporting systems can do for you. The days of managing by the seat of your pants, hunches, and instinct are long gone. Oh, I'm sure there are still managers and even CEOs who manage that way, then look for numbers to back up their preconceived notions. But it's a lot better to already have the numbers in hand and let them point the way to a better direction in your business. That old checkbook P&L could only tell you up or down. It couldn't really point the way forward. Before we get to our interview with Dusty Alexander, let's pause for a word from our sponsor. FDMC Magazine is your vital source of information to improve your woodworking business. Whether it's keeping you apprised of the latest advances in manufacturing, helping you solve your wood technology problems with Gene Wengert, or inspiring you with case histories about successful businesses and best practices, FDMC Magazine is there to be the sharpest business tool in your shop. Learn more and subscribe for free at woodworkingnetwork.com/FDMC. Now let's talk with Dusty Alexander. My guest today is Dusty Alexander, CEO of Global Shop Solutions, a company that specializes in enterprise resource planning software, better known as ERP software. Welcome to the Woodworking Network podcast, Dusty.
Hey, good morning from the Woodlands, Texas, and good morning to all your listeners.
Thank you. Why don't we start with getting some background on Global Shop Solutions? You've been there since what, 1990? Lots of changes in technology since then.
Oh yeah, big changes. Yeah, so Global Shop Solutions. My father started Global Shop in the '70s, and he started out with just a great idea of let's make a software package for small to medium sized manufacturers. And that went from if you were in Texas in the '70s and '80s, you were primarily in the oil field business
Right.
and transferred that over to oil field. We got a big defense contractor. We got into wood. We got into plastics. But it was just interesting how you take all these small manufacturers and they all have their own little nuances, but they really want to do to me, the three big main things. And the three big main things are they want to control their inventory if they have inventory. And a lot of people go, I don't have inventory. Well, you do because you got work in process inventory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they want to control their cost. So when they look at something they make, they want to know what did it really cost. And they want to be able, and then the third one is they want to be able to flow that data to an accurate financial and a financial that makes sense to them. So I think, just with that in mind, we go around the world and try to help the small to medium sized manufacturer get those results.
So who is your typical customer? You say small to medium size. What does that translate as?
Yeah, so small to medium sized in the woodworking industry would be a guy who's making fixtures, a guy who's making cabinets, a guy who's uh, doing millwork that usually has between 20 employees and up to our large installations. I just got back from one in overseas, and they have around 1,000 employees.
Right, right. Well, these days with automation, sometimes the number of employees doesn't translate to the size of the business and what they produce. I've been in factories in Europe that there was only five guys on the floor and they were
But they were
cranking
producing
out.
a
Yeah.
lot, yeah, yeah. And so I probably need to modify that a little, but it's typically, if you look at the sales volume, it's typically the 5 million to $100 million manufacturer in sales. That's our target market. We got some really big customers, and then we got a couple small ones outside of that.
So what kind of services do you offer? What does this kind of a program do for people?
So it goes from the initial quotation, and a lot of times that's tying in with their design package, producing the quote, generating then an order, tracking all the production. The employees are touch screening what they're working on. All your inventory transactions are then done live in the system. All your purchasing is done live in the system, and that all feeds to your financials. So, man, I always like this. It's just a complete business system that these companies are running.
Great, great. Now, are you custom writing your software or are you delivering software solutions from other developers?
No, that's a great question, Will. So we have on our software development team, let me think real quick. We have about 115 across our product and engineering team where we're writing our core package, and then we'll customize the system because a lot of those, Will, a lot of those small to medium sized guys, they don't have IT people.
Oh, right.
They all want to tailor the system. They want it to integrate with their machinery. They want to do their own custom dashboards. Um, they want to integrate with all these other systems that they like and are very wood specific. And so we'll tailor it to fit those environments. So it's usually about 90% they use our standard system, 10% our team comes in and customizes it And the unique thing about us is our guarantee is if we customize it for you, we guarantee it'll work in all future versions of the system.
Oh, that's great. Because
Yeah, it's a little tricky
longevity of
process, but
software is always an issue.
yeah, but there's just on the investment side of Global Shop, there's about 10 million lines of code in Global Shop. And then we come out with 1 to 2 new customizations. We call them, it just goes into our app store. And those are free to all of our customers. So it's a constantly evolving product. And to me, man, that's what makes it fun. I mean, I run into the office every day because it's exciting to see, hey, man, what we invent last night?
Well, one of the things um, before we started, I was saying to you is I think that a lot of people, hear the phrase ERP banded about these days. There's a lot of folks in the woodworking industry that don't really understand what it is and what it can do for them. Um, and a guy with maybe a smaller operation says, "Oh, I don't need anything like that. I can walk out on the floor and see everything I need to see about my business." But I don't think that's really true. Can you explain what ERP does?
Yeah, what ERP does is what I try to explain to people is it puts all of your business in one system. It puts all those manual spreadsheets that you're doing, all those multiple packages that you're running. It puts it into one system, and it's going to make you faster. It's going to make you faster in how you can process orders, how you can look up information, and not real and not wasting time on I shouldn't say it's wasting time, but not having somebody duplicate their efforts in doing things. I know, like we just came out, Will, with a new AI tool that reads AP invoices. So now somebody's not having to sit there and manually key in, AP invoices. The system reads that automatically and matches it up with a purchase order. And
That's great.
that's just a task. Yeah, and that's a task that nobody wants to do these days.
Right. Right.
Let's get people on the really smart things where they can innovate. They love coming to their job instead of keying in AP invoices, which we can automate now with AI.
And probably the accuracy level of the AI automation is better than somebody hand keying in stuff too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My big thing is always is you show the person who's having to do that every day, they go, "Oh, that's the part of my job I hate."
Right, right. Well, this is the story of automation that we try and tell all the time, where, people say, "Oh, automation, it's taking away jobs." Well, it's not really taking away jobs that people are going to miss. It's
That's right.
it's freeing up people to do more. I talk a lot about the opportunity cost of things, and people don't seem to understand, that, like, for example, if somebody takes in a bunch of low dollar jobs and fills up their schedule, then that real big dollar job, the high profit job, comes in, and they have to tell them, "Well, I can't get to you for 6 months."
Right. And they're
And
not going to get it.
yeah, yeah. And so that's what automation is about, is giving you the freedom and the opportunity to do bigger and better things.
Yeah. And I think I would encourage, all the young people listening in your audience, man, if you haven't been in one of these manufacturing companies lately, man, go check them out because it is high tech city, uh, robots, software. I mean, you want to talk about a cool job. It's a lot of fun, takes a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, a lot of engineering. Man, I just couldn't think of a more exciting business to be in.
Well, and the thing that I see with ERP, and having a custom dashboard for the management of the company, it gives them so much quick access to everything that's going on in their company, so they don't have to go running around asking a lot of questions. Did this get shipped, or is this, what's our work in progress? All these kinds of things that they have at their fingertips.
Yeah, I was at a customer earlier this year, and the sales manager, highly skilled guy, okay, would have to take, and they run global shop at 5 different companies. And he wanted to do a 3-year trend analysis on sales. And he had to prepare that for their board meeting. I think the board meeting was, let's say it's every month. So he would take a half a day every month preparing that spreadsheet and getting the data. And it really clicked for him when we built that with our dashboard designer. One of my software engineers built that in 4 hours. And now he can click that and it's real time every month.
Right.
So it's just
That's a
little
big
things
deal.
like that. Ah, man, heck yeah. It
Yeah,
makes his,
when you have delays on your financial reports, even if it's only a couple of weeks past the end of the month, that means you're still looking in the rear view mirror. You're
you
not
got it.
seeing what's going on.
Well, it's like you said, man, ERP makes data live. And it's real time and it's the real deal.
So, what kinds of shops can use ERP software most effectively? Do you have to be a big production operation these days? Or, we hear a lot about people doing batch one manufacturing where they're really a custom shop. And I've been in big factories in Europe where the line is going and the product that's on the line is one way, and then the next product right after it on the line is completely
It's
different.
something different. Absolutely. And that's just how you design your production. But I mean, we work, in the small to medium sized furniture industries. We work in the fixture industries. We've got some, and if you go into stores these days, all those fixtures are custom. We work with joinery companies. We work with the molding and component manufacturers. And then, of course, we work with the millwork guys on the wood side.
Right.
And the wood
Right.
side is just one part of our business. I mean, we've got all these other industries that we serve. Aerospace, defense is probably our biggest one now.
Well, that's good too, because I think that there's some people that I always have been an advocate of stealing ideas from other industries and something that you might learn from one of your aerospace guys might actually be applicable to a woodworking guy.
Oh, how the aerospace guys track their quality? Totally, totally applicable to tracking your quality and showing your processes all the way through the raw material to production. Great use. I saw one. We have a real good customer. They make furniture and they also have a sawmill. And I saw how they use the RFID technology
Right.
to keep track of the wood for their physical inventory, which is something we originally learned how to do in the aerospace industry, Will. But you go see these guys in Ohio and you go, oh my gosh, that they could do aerospace work because their processes are so tight.
Right. Well, I know a shop in Canada that uses RFID stuff that they track everything, and in fact, the owner doesn't have to ask if something was shipped. He can see it on his dashboard because
Oh yeah.
the robot that wraps the pallet before they put it on the truck is scanning all the RFID codes on the pallet, and he knows that everything went on the truck.
Will, we did a study at this company and we studied and this was doing the transactions in global shop, which is going to be way faster than doing it manual.
Right.
Okay. So they went from manual to doing it to global shop. to now doing the global shop processes with RFID. And that savings between global shop and using the RFID, they save 9 hours a day.
Wow.
So yeah, it's so fun, and it's just neat to come in every day and figure out new cool things that make our great customers even better.
Can you share another example of how ERP transformed a woodworking operation, and the benefits that they achieved?
Yeah, I could share one. I have a really, really good customer and in woodworking, and what he likes to do is display on a dashboard. And his main thing is he wants to improve his direct to indirect ratio. So he wants employees working on jobs that are out there and not in unallocated time.
Right.
And so their thing is, if you are in unallocated time for more than, I can't remember what he sets it at. If he sets it at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you're in unallocated time more than 5 to 10 minutes, your name goes in red on all the TV screens around the plant. And he said that reduced his indirect time 70 to 80%, which is a massive number.
Right. So he knows now that those employees are working to maximum effectiveness on productive jobs that he's going to get paid for, rather.
Unproductive jobs, and then you really know what's it cost to make that thing.
Right. Right.
It's not Dusty just filling out some timesheet at the end of the day and kind of guessing, doing my best effort to guess. It's here's what it really took to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I always, I do pricing workshops around the country and that sort of thing. And one of the questions I always ask is if anybody has ever estimated a job would take 20 hours and it took 40 hours. And of course, every hand goes up, and that's because they don't have any good ways of tracking how they actually work, and they're all doing a estimate of time that a job is going to take on a best case scenario, and they've never encountered a best case scenario in their lives. they
That's
they,
right.
they need
That's right.
real data from what it really takes.
If you say 20 hours, maybe you can come show me how to do it in 20 hours.
Right, if everything works.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, it's a two-way street between whoever's doing the estimate, and then there's some great employees on the shop floor. And that, man, they can come up with, if you give them some incentive, if you reward them, and if you show, I've noticed, if you show their productivity to the rest of the workers, they're going to come up with all kinds of ideas.
Well, you'd liberate them to make improvements.
Bam.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the life-changing experiences I had back in the 1980s was getting to spend a day with Shigeo Shingo in a factory in California, and he's
Oh man,
one
what a
one of the
yeah, amazing.
developers of the Toyota production system. And
Yes,
one of the things that he was adamant about is asking the people that were actually doing the work, what's a better way to do the work?
you got it. You got it. They have so many ideas. They're living in it every day, and I don't know, you're stupid not to listen to them, in my opinion.
Well, and let's be real too. They may not understand what they're doing, how it relates to the bigger production level, and there may be a reason they need to do something a certain way to fit into the production flow,
Yeah,
which they may not get. It's kind of like the example I give is if you're making screwdrivers, there's two parts, there's a shaft and a handle. And if you make too many handles or too many shafts and they don't match up, you need one of each, and that's
yeah,
wasted work if you're making too many of one or the other. But the guy that's making, say, the handles, he thinks he's doing great if he's suddenly producing a gazillion of them.
you got it. You got it.
So how long does it take to get an ERP system up and running? How disruptive is this process for a company?
Yeah, magic question. So usually we see in our right now, Global Shop Solutions business is really, really good. We have 200, right at 200 new implementations in process. And what we're seeing is it usually takes around 6 months, start to finish, to get it going. And it is challenging because you're having to learn the new system and conduct business at the same time.
Yeah, and you're replacing some of your existing systems, so I imagine there's initially
You
some
got it.
redundancy that you have to deal with.
Oh yeah, and when we usually send a team on site to when a customer goes live, and that's usually a great day.
So now, what do you see as the future of technology in the woodworking industry? What's going to be happening? Is it just going to be more and faster, or is there some transformative? You mentioned AI earlier. What are you seeing coming down the pike?
Yeah, I see AI coming down the pike, and again, I just see all types of little ways that you can do things quicker. Um, Not necessarily with less people, but you could handle more volume with the same amount of people. And I think that's going to lower our costs and make it more and more. I'm seeing where we can compete with the overseas guys. Need a little help from our government, but we can compete with the overseas guys. I just hope my biggest concern, Will, is really the young men in our country and teaching them about. I'm just on a crusade kind of to teach them about manufacturing and what a great environment it is for them to grow up in and raise their families in. I
Yeah,
think I got to
it's
do a better job of encouraging more young men into manufacturing.
well, young men and young women too.
I shouldn't. Yeah, young women as well.
I think
I
that there's been too many high school counselors out there that are convinced that manufacturing is dirty and dangerous and a dead end, and
yeah.
none of those things are true.
No,
And
and it's a great path to the middle class, and we're going to need a ton more business owners. Oh, we need the business owners in the next generation because manufacturing propelled this country, and I think it's going to continue to propel this country.
oh, I agree. And I've always there's a phrase they use, that's sort of more of a hobby phrase of makers, but I think this country has been built on makers and people
Oh,
that have created things, tangible things. And
yeah,
there is a huge benefit emotionally and financially at the end of the day to say, I made that, and my
right.
company made that, or, this is our product. And uh, I think that's wonderful and love to promote it.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is like I had a couple companies in yesterday doing a tour of Global Shop, and we're very similar to a manufacturer. It's just our software engineers are our work centers, and there's nothing I enjoy more than I enjoy visiting our customers a ton, but giving a tour of our facility, uh, going through what our customers make, kind of a rough shot of all the 1,800 different customers, and then showing them how we go from customer care to the actual software engineering to take care of all these guys. So there's a lot of pride of ownership in that, and I just would like to see more Americans benefiting from that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if anybody in our audience wants to learn more about Global Shop Solutions, what's your website?
Yeah, globalshopsolutions.com. Just go on there. We're also, we're all over the social media channels. Or you can certainly shoot me an email too. I'm dalexander@gssmail.com, and I try to respond Will to every email.
That's great. I'm sure you get a lot of them.
I do, but it's really, really fun. And I don't know. It's just neat to see. It's neat to be a part of the manufacturing ecosystem in this country. And now Global Shop Solutions is in 23 other countries.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, I wish you the best of luck, Dusty, and this is great information. I hope some of our audience take it to
Will,
heart.
I got to
and
get you down
invest
to
in
the
it.
Woodlands, bud. Yeah, I got to get
Absolutely.
you down to the Woodlands, and I'd love to give you a tour of what we're about, buddy.
That sounds great. I will be talking to you. Well, thank you much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, Will. Have a great day.
That's it for today. If you're looking for more of our podcasts, you can find all of them at woodworkingnetwork.com/podcasts and in popular podcast channels. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks again to today's sponsor, FDMC Magazine. If you have a comment or topic you'd like us to explore, contact me at will.sampson@woodworkingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening.